Welcome to the Activity Car Live. Now, let's hear it for our special guest host, Mike Lewantowicz.
Oh, goodness gracious. Hey, everybody, hopefully you're doing great. Today is Friday. What is today? The 8th we got, I think, of September. Things are cooking along. And, hey, it's amazing. We got good momentum in our business going into September. Hoping you do too. And here's one of the things you're going to hear in the theme today is we know that as you've got momentum, something's going to hit you. You might have made a decision to get your business rolling, and maybe just the time you make a decision, something hits you and holds you back. Or maybe you've got things cooking and moving along, and all of a sudden something comes in and throws you off course or attempts to throw you off course. You got to react to that. And what do you do? How do you fight through that? And so today we're going to talk about some people that have had some real business issues at different phases of their business. And what do they do? How do they adjust? What were they feeling? Because I think one of the things you may or may not relate exactly to this situation, but I am hoping you might say, I've certainly felt that way. And then what did I do? What tools did I lean on? Because you might see some similar patterns of how they got out of what they were doing. So we're going to be real. We're going to be raw. We're going to be sharing some stuff with you today. I am grateful to be here. Grateful, honored to be asked to host this call, to share a little bit, shed some light on it. If you're taking time today, I don't take that for granted. We've prepared to help put out some information that you find effective, that you find helpful, that you can put to use to help yourself, help someone else in your team today. So our goal is to make sure this is valuable and you feel a little bit instructed, maybe a little bit motivated, but you're finding something practical to take with you as you're moving forward in what you're doing business-wise. So with that said, there is a lot going on. In fact, I know live right now, there's a boot camp going on, or a boot camp or agency manager training, if you will, for people who want to build a business out at the campus in North Carolina. I know that there are meetings going on around the country for you to tap into. And so if you haven't taken a time to look at on the ARC, going to under resources, looking at the page that shows the hotspots and saying, hey, what is there out there that maybe I should connect with? Or is there someone on my team that needs to know about this? And if you're not taking a little bit of time as a leader of yourself or someone else, to look at what's going on, please do so. It's going to make you better. I promise. It's going to help a bunch. So that's probably my big thing. Take a minute, be situationally aware. Be aware of what's going on so you can lead people to resources, because so much good is happening when we connect face to face, And I think some of us were so used to maybe during COVID or whatever it was, being trained to be separated, be isolated, that some of us, it's taking some time to learn, gosh, I do have to connect. I have to help people reconnect. There is so much that happens when people get together face to face. There is magic that occurs, and to be aware of that and to leverage that. And yes, I know Mike, here you are talking, you're on a Zoom screen. I know, we do know that this is a piece of it, but it does not replace the magic that happens when we connect face to face. With that said, I got 4 different guests here, and I'm excited about each one of them. Each one's got a different element, different situation they've gone through and come through. And I'm just going to jump right into it. We got my buddy, Chauncey Ellis. We can go ahead and get Chauncey's screen up. Chauncey, I see you there. Hey, man. First, a lot of people don't know who you are nationally or on our team because you're kind of new to the scene, but just give people a quick background of who you are, where you live, what you were doing before you and I got connected.
Sure, Mike. I want to thank you and Noel first for giving me the opportunity to speak to the team. I consider it a privilege. Yeah, I'm from Louisville, and I actually left Louisville in '82, and I spent most of my adult life in Baltimore, and then more recently spent about 8 years down in Florida. So I'm happy to be back to Louisville. I have spent the last 22 years in the mortgage business. Fairly successful. There was a little holdback with the mortgage business because I'm more face to face, in the mortgage business. All I was doing was, unless it was family or friends, I was over the phone. So prior to that, I was in the car business, and I loved it because people came to me and I was able to interact, and they could tell that I cared and I listened. And so it kind of goes hand in hand with what we do. I'm able to help people on a daily basis. So yes, that's the mortgage business and prior to the car business. And I also actually did a little network marketing with Excel Communications, and I did that for probably 3 or 4 years and built a fairly large organization. And it wasn't me, it was the people in my organization. So yeah, that's pretty much the background.
Okay. So, and I think it's important, while you and I, or Noel and I, have been the ones coaching you, who connected you to us?
It's funny you ask. The same person that's connected me to the mortgage business, the car business, and the network marketing business. My little brother, Damien.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. And so here's what's fun. Love your brother. And your brother, I think, I'm going to share this because I think it's a great story here, and the patience when we as leaders choose to help somebody get started. I think your brother got started with us 3 times.
I didn't even know that.
3 times. And,
I did not know that.
And so the first time he got started, didn't do anything. Second time got started, didn't do anything. Third time got started, he wrote 1 application. And then a month later, he introduced us to you. And so I'll tell everybody, be nice to everybody, whether they do a lot or little, because you don't know where they're going to lead you. And your brother's got some different stuff going on. Good guy, right? But it's just like he's got some other business, just not choosing or not ready to jump in and do this the way we do it, and that's completely okay. But he led us to you. And I think sometimes, a person may be a great person. Sometimes we say every dud knows a stud. It doesn't mean they're a dud as a person, but maybe they're a dud as far as what they're doing in our business. Doesn't mean they're a dud as a person. Or his brother, Damien's a great guy, just a dud as far as our business goes, but he knew somebody. He got his brother. And so we got Chauncey started, got licensed. You got your license when, Chauncey?
My life and health on 3/3.
Okay, so
I started in February, and you fast tracked me. Took me about a week to get my life license, and took me about another week to get my health license. So I got started in February getting licensed, yes.
Okay, got started getting licensed, got started meeting with families in March. Just give people a little bit of perspective of your level of effectiveness in production, say March through early July or the end of June. How productive were you in those, March, April, May, June? How productive were you in those months?
I started out March, April, and May pretty slow. And the thing was that I knew I could do a lot more. So, I went to View from the Edge, and it was awesome. Being around the people, seeing Marcusetta, it was an experience that was very good for me. And at that point, I decided every event that I could attend, I was going to attend, as long as I was able to, not ill, or somebody in the family was not ill. So I went to family reunion, and it was just...
Before you went, okay, so we talked about your level of production, like we just said. So as we hit that, so you kind of were in this mediocre phase. I mean, what was the most premium you'd issued in a month in those months? Let's quantify that. And what do you think your best month was as we were looking back at those?
Probably 4 or 5,000.
Yeah, I was thinking it was probably about 4,000 or 5,000. That's about where I thought the premium side was. And you were showing up. I think for give people some perspective, you would show up at dial day on Monday and dial. You'd show up on Thursday and dial. At that point, like how many appointments a week were you booking, or in a dial day, you'd be at the office, even though you had the team supporting you, how many appointments would you come in and typically book on a dial day for a Monday?
Believe it or not, like 5 to 6. I would dial probably 60, 70 dials on a dial day, maybe even less, 50, 60.
Okay.
Yeah, instead on a day, maybe combined, maybe 5 or 6 appointments.
Okay. So you'd show up, you come in here, and we're going to talk about where you are now, but was the environment holding you back? Like, and you can say, well, yeah, the environment was great, the environment was bad, but I like to think we've got a good dial environment for someone that wants to come in and dial. What was it that was kind of holding you back from making the jump to putting in the real effort or work that you figured out now? We'll kind of get to what changed, but what was it? If you look back, what was holding you back from really letting off the brakes and pushing forward?
Mindset. So, I go on 3 to 5, 6 appointments, and of course I'm going to have 2 or 3 no-shows. And where I come from, if you tell someone you're going to meet them or you're going to be there, I'm going to be there. So I wasn't used to if I make an appointment, someone not being there. So at that point I realized, okay, if they're not going to be, I would get down on myself. I'm like, well, I set this appointment, I'm driving around and they're not there. So I have to do something to change this. Either I have to get more appointments or I have to dial more and make more appointments so I don't get frustrated. I'm not upset with myself. I didn't get upset with the client. I mean, to the point where, what am I not doing correctly? So that's basically where I was. I was, I drive around and they wouldn't be there. They wouldn't show up. And I'm like, there's got to be something I'm not doing correctly. But basically what I found out was it was my activity.
Okay. And so now with that, were we, like I say, me and the other agents here in the office, were we telling you, hey man, you need to book 10, 12, 15 appointments to go out there and on your dial day? Were we giving you that message? Like, because I think this is kind of one, even though like you might have heard it, were we telling you, hey, here's what you need to do?
Mike, yes, but I wasn't hearing it. That was it. That was the problem. You might have said it, I don't know, all the time, but I wasn't hearing it. And once I heard it, it made a difference. I don't know why I was not hearing it, but I wasn't hearing it. Okay. I thought maybe I could get 3 or 4 or 5 appointments and I could, help 3 or 4 or 5 families, and that's not how it works.
So, and I tell everybody, ratios 3, 2, 1. If you book 3, you'll sit with 2, you'll help 1. And when we look at the numbers on a weekly basis across our team, we see those numbers hold true. So somebody says, I got 15 appointments booked. Well, if you're average, you probably help about 5 families. But again, like I think the important thing is we can have a great environment in our office. And this is what I want people to hear. So if you're a leader, and you might be doing your best to communicate with someone like Chauncey who's showing up, putting an effort, it doesn't mean that I'm a bad leader. It's somehow the message, either he wasn't ready to hear it or my style of connecting wasn't getting it through, whatever it was. Now, I got one other question before we kind of get into what changed, but how were you, knowing that this was happening and kind of you were living in this mediocre version of you? Because I'm going back, in the car business or in the mortgage business, what kind of money were you used to making?
6 figures in both.
Right.
Again, the car business, I was the top salesperson because I was always the first one there, the last one to leave every day. I remember I would go out maybe at night and I'd go by the dealership at 1 o'clock in the morning to make sure I was still tops for that day. If I didn't sell a car that day, I was very disappointed in myself. So, I mean, I just had that passion. And another thing, I believed in the product I was selling, and I also believed in Toyota. So I was selling Toyotas and the company Toyota. It was the best product. And I feel the same way. It's funny, I've only been around about 6 months, but what we do, it's amazing, the carriers we have and the opportunities we have. So yeah, I did well in both, but I did better in the car business because I was face to face and I worked my tail off. I mean, first one there, last one to leave every single day.
Okay, so I knew that about you. So knowing that you had this standard of where you were used to performing, how were you feeling, as we get into May and June, and knowing you were kind of, I'll just say at a mediocre or subpar level for you, comparing yourself to you and where you knew you could be, how are you feeling?
Yeah, it didn't work. I mean, I've always made it a point, whether it's school, I was going to set the curve, whether it was in the car business, I was going to be the top salesperson. And it made me feel when I wasn't, when I was mediocre doing this, because I know the potential. I mean, it's it's mind-boggling to me. So it made me some days like say, what is wrong with me? But it was me. It wasn't anything about the business, nothing about the company, nothing about the leads. It was right here. It was my mindset.
Okay. So what changed? So here you are realizing, okay, I'm better than this. This isn't working like I should, or I'm not working like what was it that changed? Talk to me about that.
So it was funny because I remember when they were going to announce where a family reunion was going to be. I had lived in Florida for 8 years in Fort Lauderdale area, and I was like, how awesome would it be to be back in Fort Lauderdale or close by? And when they announced it, I was like, that's crazy. So I made it a point. I'm like, I have to be there. I've lived there. I know people. And so when we got out to family reunion, it was like, I made it a point. I wanted to sit up front. So I sat in the VIP section. I thought it was important for me to be in the VIP section so I could be amongst, and View from the Edge. I sat in the back most of the time. But I got a piece of it. So I wanted to get the full feel when we did family reunion. So I made it a point to be in the VIP section. And so it was amazing sitting 2 rows back and seeing, I'll just say, Mia Fennell, seeing Eric Belair, and it was their passion and their commitment. It was like, wow, this is crazy. I need to be doing this. And so I actually went to you and I'm like, Mike, and it's funny because I remember Jake saying, he talked about the 6-week commitment. And I came to you and I'm like, hey, I need to do a 6-week commitment. And that's what I decided to do. It was just all about me and my mindset. And I said, if I tell Mike, I wasn't going to do it until I was going to do it. So I'm like, if I tell Mike, because I thought about it the first couple of days, or at least I know the first day. And I'm like, after I saw Mia and Eric, I'm like, okay, I'm going to Mike and I'm going to make this 6-week commitment. And that's what I did. But it was just being amongst all the leaders. And I just couldn't believe Mia and Eric. They just like really, I got so much out of that,
Be specific. So as you listen to Mia, what hit you? Like about her, her talk, what was it that hit you?
Well, her why. And, when she talked about her why. And in this business or in anything you do, you have to have a why. And just hearing her talk about it and how she spoke about it, it just lit a fire because I have a why. I want to be back down. When I lived in Fort Lauderdale, I lived on the water. I want to be back down in Fort Lauderdale. I want to be back on the water. Wake up in the morning. I don't drink coffee, but have a tea or whatever it might be and watch the boats go by. I saw that again while we were down in Florida. I'm like, man, this is my vehicle to get back down here. And hearing Mia is like, and I know the struggles she had, the things that Eric went through. And it's like, I've been through some of those things too, but I can't let it stop me.
Okay. What'd you take away? Because you mentioned Eric Belair. What'd you take away from his talk on that Sunday morning?
I mean, whatever it took for him, he didn't, no matter what happened, he was going to keep going. His wife passing, I think it was maybe his daughter, just whatever it took, he was going to make it happen to make a difference in his family or his family's life and in his life. Yeah. But he was dynamic. I mean, just, he made me smile. He made me laugh, but he also made me, understand that this is real. This is real. And don't lose this opportunity.
So I think the power of an event, and I love the fact that you said here, I'd been to one, but I didn't take it as serious. This time I'm going in, I'm going to sit up front. So I think that's huge. And then I think, when you are up front, you're allowing yourself to be affected more. And you go into events, and I'm here to absorb, to change, to figure something out. I'm frustrated or whatever that feeling you had going in. I know I'm better than this. And going in like I'm looking for a solution, going in hungry. And I think you talked about your thoughts on breakthrough, because we may have somebody here that's kind of where you're at. Maybe they're thinking, hey, I'm new. I'm not getting the results I want. I know I'm better than this. I know I'm starting to figure this out. what's your coaching to someone like that as they've heard about breakthrough and maybe they're wondering, should I go or should I not? But what's your feeling as you're heading into this, knowing what you've picked up in your 6 weeks since we were there in Miami?
I can't wait. I heard Mike Guerra yesterday, talked about his thing last year having 10 people there and this year having 40. If I got what I got out of family reunion, again, my biggest thing is me and the things around me, and hearing Mike talk about it will change you. You'll get things that it'll make you a different person. And I talked to Ariel and just, I can't wait. I can't wait to be around all the people. I think it's going to be bigger than family reunion. I know more people now. I can go up and talk to me. I can go and talk to Eric. I didn't really get to talk to Eric at family reunion, but I feel like I'm a part of the team and the family now. So I can't wait to get there. I can tell you, if you don't go, you're going to be sorry. You need to be there. You have to be there. Yeah. I'm telling you, I had to scrape, and I had to scrape because prior to getting with the Alliance, I hadn't closed a loan in probably 6 months. So I had to scrape to get to family reunion. I had to scrape to get to the view from the edge. And I can't say that I didn't. I was going to be a breakthrough. I'm looking and I'm sitting in the audience and I'm like, $499. Well, that's crazy. But then I said, you know what? I have to be there. So I made a commitment that I was going to be there, and I'm going to be there, and I can't wait. I just can't wait to get around all the leaders and just take it all in and hear Mark Aceta and what he has to say and just better myself. That's my goal.
All right. Well, good. Well, real quick, I pulled up your cash flow the last 4 weeks here. So you had $7,200 deposited in the last 4 weeks. I know you had more in July as well. You had some other good things happen, but we've watched you consistently book in that 20 plus appointments a week. We've seen your business change drastically, and you are winning at a much higher level. In the last 4 weeks of cash flow demonstrate that. So from going from 2,000 or 3,000 to 7,200 in a month, good job. We're proud of you. We know that you've got Alaska in the bag. We know you're a few weeks away from locking that in based on what you're doing now. You excited to be bringing somebody with you on that trip?
Oh, of course. Oh yeah, it would be amazing to be on that trip with the person that's special in my life. Absolutely, can't wait. Can't wait. Right.
Awesome. Well, listen, thank you. I know you got to get to an appointment, so we're going to get you out of here because you've got your day booked. Get out there, keep doing what you're doing. Go out and get the best of breakthrough. Bring someone with you, and proud to have you on the team, Chauncey.
Thank you, everybody. Have a fantastic day. Let's go. Right. Let's go.
All right. Cool. Hey, I got another couple. Many of you know who they are. You've seen them. Their business is rocking. They're running $150,000 a month in premium on their way to $250,000 a month and pushing for bigger. And a lot of you have seen a lot of good things that they've done. But we're going to kind of go into an element of their business where they've hit a struggle. And I'll let them share. But just real quick, guys, let people know some of the good things that have been happening and where y'all are from for people that maybe don't know you.
Hey, what's going on, Mike? Thank you, Mike and Noel, for having us on here. Thank you, Andy and Jane, for allowing us to be on here. We love being able to share and to listen, to our fellow teammates. So we are Jake and Bray Joseph. We live in Rio Rancho, New Mexico. We're fired up, to be here. We had a local hotspot last night, and we just spent a lot of time talking about treating this like a business. And Marcus, when he did his TWC this week, talking about building your house, how each of us are building our house, and are we using the top quality materials? Are we paying attention to the details? Are we not cutting corners? So we're just really excited to focus on those things that necessarily aren't seen up front, that are done in the background that no one really does see. And we know that it'll help us with the journey. So we're just excited. We got a lot of momentum with a lot of new people all across the country, and fired up to be here.
Hey, that's cool. All right, so let's kind of get right into it. So talk about kind of we're going to talk about kind of your office situation, and we can go back. You guys chose to set up an office to help grow your business. How long ago?
We signed a lease, our first office lease in, it was November of 2021. So we moved into our office January of 2022.
Okay. So things have been cooking along. You've been in there a year and a half now. And how's that impacted your business, just having that office space, and how's it allowed y'all to grow in the Albuquerque market?
I definitely think it's just allowed not only us to grow, but our local team to grow. Because prior to that, we had a staff member working out of our house. So looking back, really, really grateful for her. She was crazy enough to show up and work out of one of our bedrooms.
This one to be exact.
Yeah, this one to be exact. Just looking back, I know that was an opportunity for us to grow. It allowed us to hire more staff, bringing them into that office. So, and that was originally our intention of it, was just, okay, can we fill this place with staff? Can we have an area where, as we're getting agents up and started, we can have, provide them with a place to dial, because people used to come here to dial, right? So we'd have people coming in here to dial, and at times it's not most comfortable when you have two daughters, and, I don't want to say some random dude, but you've got like a brand new agent that you don't know too well who's like, passing your daughter's room, going to the bathroom. And I told Jake, I said, enough's enough. Like, we need to get this out of our house. We're growing, which is good, but we have so much more potential to grow. So we needed a space to do it.
Okay, there you go. All right. So you got in the office, and what are some of the good things you saw about having that office?
Yeah, it just, for one, it was nice, having a space for our staff, right? And we could hire more than just one. So there was more space, and it was just a little bit simpler and easier to work around, everyone having their own space set up. Another big one was for our team, for our local team. We saw, people stepping up, and it helped them stay accountable. Our buddy Drew, he's had so much growth, and, we'll say it, and it just helped him stay accountable. He's got kids at home, he's got wife at home, and just to have a space that he can sit and focus and call his own, really, we've seen his growth skyrocket. So just a place for the team to come around, not have the distraction of home, because we knew that was big for us. Like, we're talking about our team. Even for us, it's easy enough to go get a snack from the fridge or the pantry every 5 minutes, or get up and check something. But having that space, it just allowed us to really hone in and focus and make sure we were getting stuff. And, hey, having that expense, that business expense, it's kind of like how people talk about leads, oh, they got all these leads coming and they have to go run them. It's like, well, now we've got not only staff, but we have office space that we have to pay for. It pushed us so much more to make sure that we were hitting our goals, whether on the sales side or billing or keeping in our business. So,
okay, cool. All right. So talk about what happened here over the last 6 months or 7 months, that you can go back and, maybe share what happened back in January, and kind of what happened more recently.
Yeah, it was, it all started, we were coming up the end of 2022, and we had hit a full year being in the office, and it was great. We were comfortable there. It was a great location. Had a place, to gather the local team for hotspots, and it really all began. The landlord, we were trying to pay our rent, right? Landlord wasn't responding. We were like, we're trying to give you money, but it doesn't seem like you want it. And little did we know, we didn't even, the communication wasn't there. We've learned that in business, communication is key. And we ended up finding out from one of our neighbors that they were selling the building. And long story short there, someone from out of state bought the building and just kind of took over from there. They just kind of switched things around on us pretty quickly. We kind of started to realize it when they weren't wanting to sign a lease with us, and they kind of kept putting it off. And then all of a sudden we saw, what would you say, like a 50-60% increase in our rent. And
So slow down just real quick. So your lease was signed for how long? Was it a 1 year lease? that you had?
Yeah. So when we originally moved, originally moved in, we did a year lease. Yeah.
Okay. So you had a 1 year, and so you were month to month, basically in February, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
February on, we were month to month.
Okay. So for everybody to understand, so when you sign a lease, your rate is fixed, but then you were floating month to month, looking to re-sign. And then when did they send you the letter saying, "Well, we'd like you to re-sign for a 50% increase"? When did that letter show up?
That showed up like right after View from the Edge. So I want to say like May. May. I think that showed up, and just like, what the heck? Like, for us, that increase. I mean, that meant $900 more a month just on the base rent. So
so pretty. And again, it's an increase, but like, hey, 50-60% or almost double, whatever it was, from everything they're doing. Because I think if I'm not mistaken, weren't you going to have to pay for your own utilities as well? So wasn't it also basically doubling your entire net cost on that?
Yeah, it was actually going to double it exactly, because our previous landlord, our price that we paid for the year included utilities, included everything. So this guy came in and was like, "Hey, let's increase your rent by $900 a month, and let's throw utilities on." So we were going to be looking at about like $1,200-$1,300 more a month just to be in that same space.
Yeah.
Okay. So when that hits and the reality sets in, this is what this joker's trying to do, and here we are in this comfort zone. What are you feeling at that point?
Well, right away, we were pretty pissed off. We were like, what is that? Like, we were going good. We enjoyed being there. And then all of a sudden, from one second to the next, we were like, what in the heck is going on? Like, this is not fun. And we called you guys right away because Noelle was even there. She helped Varego look at this space before we even signed a lease to begin with. So, our first call was to you guys and said, "Hey, this is what's going on. Like, we don't know what to do. What do we do?" And we kind of started looking at it, and reality setting in. The space wasn't growing. It's not like they were adding on an extra office, and the view, actually, we had a view of the mountains that went away because they were building houses. So, if anything, we were losing some stuff, and just frustration of, gosh, now we have to figure out this one more thing. Are we able to stay here? Are we going to be out of an office for a while? What is that going to do to our team? What is that going to do to our own pace right now? It was that frustration. It was first being pissed off and angry. Then it was a frustration because we didn't want to slow down. We wanted to make sure that something like this wasn't going to slow us down, wasn't going to slow our team down by not having a space that they could come dial from or host meetings from.
Yeah, that's so. And you guys have just hit a record month in March, if I'm not mistaken. So then you see this happen. It's like, oh my gosh, how's this going to affect our growth? So being mad, being afraid, those are natural things. And I think for anybody else listen, hey, I don't know that you may have an issue with an office, but I think you might have something that comes out of nowhere that gets in your way, that causes you to feel mad or afraid. Okay, so let's talk about, just what are the things you did to get through that, and kind of where are you at in the process right now?
Well, first, and Jake already touched on it, but our first call was to you guys. That's kind of whenever we're just at a point in our business, whether it's office, leads, agents, ourselves, our own personal blockage, like we're just always like, okay, let me double check my thinking, right? And I do think, we tried to come at you positively, but we were kind of flustered. So you definitely helped us like, okay, calm down. Like, let's take a step back. But I definitely think our first steps were just talking to people. Andy had come to Albuquerque and we were eating dinner with him, and he was like, what? Like, no, like, why would you do that? And he said, you have to get creative. You have to start, thinking outside the box. Is there a house that you can rent? Is there, we were eating a dinner in a restaurant that used to be an old gas station at one point. He's like, look at these people. They turned this old gas station into a restaurant, so just started to think outside the box. So my first steps was like, okay, we just got to start looking to see what's out there. So, started calling around, found a couple of realtors that had different spaces available, and just really started looking at our options which led to another discouragement for us. Because we were just like, this guy's, screw this guy. And then when we started looking at what was available, we were just like, oh, maybe this isn't so bad. I guess we really did have the hookup, So that was kind of just like an emotional roller coaster once we started looking and seeing actually what was out there. For us, we knew we could find something cheaper in Albuquerque, but that's not the goal for us, right? Like we have to, everything that we do, work, kids' schools, kids' sports is here in Rio Rancho. So for us, it's worth it to pay more for convenience. I don't want to go pay $500 less, but have an hour commute to work every day. Like to me, that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So y'all found something.
Mm-hmm.
But thinking creatively, what did you have to, and what was the creative solution for you? What kind of a value did you find?
The value that we found, we ended up finding a space, same distance from where we're at, basically for the price that the old landlord was wanting to charge us. We found one, and it was another 700 square feet larger. So more place for staff. Now we have spaces that, our team can go and have their own office, that they can go and set up shop.
But to be clear, it was an empty shell.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like this turnkey ready thing, right? Like we go in and we're looking around and we're just like, well, the space is big, but there's no offices in here.
It had cool turf.
Yeah, it used to be a gym. To
be clear, so instead of carpet, it had like AstroTurf or whatever that was, plastic or synthetic turf instead of green. What color was that turf?
It was green. It was a football field inside.
It was a football.
So don't move in ready unless you were building a football team. Okay.
Right.
Got it.
Drew still wants us, he wasn't too happy that we pulled the turf out, but
okay. So if you want to use some H's as tackling dummies, maybe it would have worked. All right. So now you leaned on some of your strengths that you knew you had. So Jake, with your background in set design and set building, kind of just talk about what you did to kind of get in and make that workable for y'all.
Yeah. So I have some really good buddies, some good contacts who are good at the labor side of building stuff. So we started to just resource and started making some calls, and that alone was a headache. Like you start to really look at it and what goes into it, the time it takes just to plan. So again, it was like Ray said, it was kind of like a roller coaster. Okay, we found a spot with potential, more space, something that isn't going to be too crazy high. And then it came time to, okay, how are we gonna take this blank canvas and turn it into something functional? So we went through multiple people, making calls, trying to figure out who's actually going to be able to help us accomplish this. And I'm just super grateful for one of my friends, Bobby, that came in and just turned this place into a masterpiece. Like we're really excited for it. The team's really excited for it. And it again, I know we're talking about things we faced and challenges. So, we had actually hired someone to do it, and it was a big mess. There was some more anger, some more frustration, being pissed off, and long story short, firing someone from the job because they weren't getting it done. They weren't meeting our guidelines. So it was just one thing after another of the anger. There was tears. There was sweat poured into it. It was just, yeah. It was.
So, and you guys are set to move in now when?
We should be in there within the week. So that's the target goal.
All right. And I think for those who don't know, you had to retreat from the old space, move out. You've been temporarily back to using your house for the last few weeks, is trying to time this right to get in there. So that's going on. I know you shared that with me, but here's the other thing. I think that while this was going on, talk about the rest of your business. Did you keep selling? Did you keep having dial sessions? Did you keep traveling, or did you retreat back and stop everything?
Yeah, we kept moving forward. We kept moving forward. Like we mentioned, we did have that little bit of fear of, oh my gosh, we can't let this stop us. We can't let it slow us down. We can't let it slow down our team. And so, no, yeah, we opened up, we opened up our doors to our home. We had some brand new agents travel from out of town to come make some phone calls with us. We had our routine agents like Drew come over and come dial with us. I know like Ray's brother came and dialed with us one day, and just did everything we can, almost did our best to make sure, like in our mind, like, okay, this is our office space where it's just a different location, just for now, for temporary.
All right.
So just keeping everything the same, kept running our appointments, kept traveling. I know Veray at that point, she was just in Dallas the other week. I had gone out to eastern New Mexico and a small part of Texas while this was all going on. So just kept staying consistent, kept working our schedule that we had already put in place before all this mess came up.
So been a little bit off balance or out of balance over these last 6 weeks going through all this, but you can see kind of light at the end of the tunnel, and we know your business is still rocking, got new things happening, and I think that's powerful. So I think there's several layers here, and if somebody's meeting Jake and Ray or talking to them about, when you get a disruption, how do you stay focused? I think it's just a good couple in terms of communicating, keeping their eye on the big vision of where they're going to, which is moving to $250,000 a month and $500,000 a month in premium as they're going through this ripple, which looking back, we'll kind of laugh on it more, but good job. Proud of you guys for fighting through. All right. Thank you. Jan Miller, I want to bring her up. Jan, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Some may know you, some may not, but real quick, for those that don't, let people know where you live, a little bit about your background before you jumped in with the Alliance.
Okay, so my name is Jan Miller. I'm out of New Jersey, and I also want to say thank you for having me on. It's really an honor. It's humbling to be put, to be asked to do this. And so I'm in New Jersey, lived here most of my life, and between New York and New Jersey. I have a background that's in finance. A long time ago, I worked on Wall Street. Have a couple of kids since then. And then before this, I was actually doing insurance, but I was on the health side. I was doing Medicare supplements, long-term care. I was a specialist in long-term care. And I enjoyed it. Things weren't working out where I was, and wound up after some health issues, getting an invite to see this. And that was amazing.
All right. Well, good. So I think I've had the pleasure of working with you here for about 2.5, 3 years, probably, since we were working with you a little bit more, and watched you take the building side more seriously. Watched you hit agency manager last year, but then, I think we're going to kind of get into things. Talk a little bit about maybe what's happened, kind of what you were dealing with while you've had some success. Kind of what was hitting you in June and July? Kind of what was the situation in June and July? What was going on with your business? You'd been recruiting, you've got some people getting started, you've maybe had an up month, but what was going on in June and July?
Yeah, it was a frustrating time. I got myself into a comfort zone with my production, doing mostly virtual, and just kind of hit a lull, and kept working and kept doing interviews, kept building. I had a lot of people getting ready to get started, but nothing seemed to be happening. So it was just a tough time, and I felt like I needed to change things out a little bit.
Okay, so tough. Like, what made it tough?
Cash flow.
Cash flow. Okay.
Cash flow, that's the worst one.
Okay, so cash flow dropped down. So the situation is, oh my gosh, my cash flow is not working. This sucks. I'm not moving forward. What were your emotions? Like, what were you thinking? What were you feeling as you're sitting there, at the end of June, early July? What's like, what are you feeling?
I was frustrated. I was mad. I had a lot of people that it seemed like were getting ready, and it just, I was wondering whether it was me. I think a lot of people go through that. You get kind of ashamed, like, what am I doing wrong? But I kept talking to you, and we kept pushing. And started seeing some things come through.
Okay. So what was one of the big changes you made at the end of July to kind of help shift the momentum for you?
I got myself back in the field, not 100%, but I felt I needed to shake things up.
By in the field, you never stopped selling, but what? So, because again, you said you were doing mostly telesales. So, to explain what you mean by that.
Booking in-person appointments and going and sitting with people. And not that I want to give up the virtual side, I like it, but I think you really need the interaction and you need to get face-to-face with people. And there are times when that's a huge advantage. Most of the time it's a big advantage. So doing more of a hybrid and getting out more, having a couple days in the field and then doing some at home, it works for me. I think it works much better.
Okay. So I think, look, so you had a choice. You said, I'm going to keep trying this. And you know what? I think whenever we hear people talk about virtual sales, typically the people that do well are the ones that have already been training, doing well. And you'd had some time doing well, but for whatever reason, something had slipped. So you said, okay, I need to change. I need to do something different because you'd gotten, like you said, in this comfort zone or something not being as effective. And so what are the things that you've seen? What's happened because you got back in the field? And what did you see from both, starting off from a personal production standpoint, as you looked back in August?
I just had better results. And getting back in the field, using the ATM, and going through the whole thing, you wind up going, oh, maybe I'm slipping in certain areas. And so you can see, so my results on my personal production were definitely better. It was a much better month.
I think, what was your personal production for August? I was thinking you were over, I forget, do you remember what your issued premium was for August?
I'm thinking 17.
Yeah, 17,000. And I think looking back in June and July, you were like 6 and 7 or 8,000 for each of those months. So basically tripled your personal production in the month of August. That was the first benefit. We also saw your team come together. What was your total team volume for the month of August?
A little over 49,000.
So 49,000 some change, just kissing 50. So call it 50,000. And your team volume had been around like the 8 to 10,000 in June and July. So I'm going from 8 to 10,000 up to 50,000. That's a huge, huge jump. And it was with 10 unique riders, not 2, but you set the pace. I think here's the biggest thing is, if I look at what Jan did, is number one, she set the pace. And I think, because you got in the field, how did that help you as you were coaching and developing and talking to other agents on your team, Jan?
Well, when you set the example and you're out there, it makes you a better coach, right? And I'm not at that point where I can stop personal production, and I have to keep sharp in what I'm doing so that I can go out and I can work with people in the field as well, right? So you got to be able to juggle. It's a lot of juggling. The personal production, but still keep on the building side, coaching people and interviewing. So, but it made me better at all of it.
Okay. So made you a better example. And then the work that you put in started to come together. Now, did it all come together because you started seeing people face to face? No, not exactly. But I think here's another thing that I saw you do that you may not be aware of. I didn't see you stop interviewing and looking for new talent. As you went through that phase in June and July, you didn't take the foot off of the recruiting and staying in touch with agent side. Like I've seen some people, they hit this capsule, ooh, I'm not happy with what's going on. I know I need to make a change. And then they back off on recruiting. So I need to stop recruiting and just sell. And that's terrible for your momentum. But you found a way to do both. So was that instinctive? Was it easy? Was it hard? How did it feel as you were, making this shift and still trying to maintain momentum on both sides?
I thought it was kind of difficult, but you just keep going. I mean, you just do it. If you're running late, you just do, send text messages and still go and get it done. You have to, it's the growth of the whole business. It's not just my production. So it's got to be, you have to focus on keep adding fresh people and also working in depth. So, and I think I had mentioned to you a few times, like, how do you do this? It's hard. And that's like, you said, that's when you know you're doing something right.
When it starts to feel hard, that's a good sign you're on to something.
Right.
Okay. All right. I think that's huge. So you had your highest month ever of issued paid volume for your team, a good month of personal production, not a record month for yourself, but a good solid month of personal production, highest month of premium volume outside of yourself. And I think we look back, you were like 21 or 22,000 in deposits for the month, which is, I'm going to guess, how does that rank from a cash flow month for you with 22,000 in deposits?
Pretty much my best unless I had a big annuity.
Okay, about your best month ever from a combination of blended income. So that's really solid. Well, look, proud of you for, again, realizing you had to change. Proud of you for communicating, staying connected, and keeping in touch, and realize you're going to have to do more from the selling and the recruiting side to push through as opposed to backing off. So I think that's huge. And I like just the fact that here, what you learned by going back, seeing people face to face while doing the sales, and how it helped you as a leader, both setting the example and being able to be more relatable and be able to coach people better, reminding yourself of what other people are seeing as they're meeting with clients. So good job, Jan. Excited for you to see your team make the jump to 100,000 in premium a month. I know you've got good people that you found that are coming on and doing good stuff. Keep the hammer down. I'm proud of you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Next up, we got my buddy out of Ogden, Utah. Joseph, how's it going, man?
Man, I'm on fire and excited. Today, woke up, did my workout, got to jump in here, hang out with you guys. So appreciate the invite, Mike. Thank you.
Cool. All right, dude. Hey, look, Joseph's leading an organization that's doing 300,000 a month on its way to $1 million a month. That's the first thing I want people to know. They're going from 300,000 a month to $1 million a month. I got leaders all over the place. Good stuff's going on. But Joseph, real quick, just get 30 seconds on your background. What were you doing before you found us?
So before, my original real job was, I worked in the grocery business for about 11 years, learning how to stack apples. I was a professional apple stacker, as Andy calls me, ran a produce department, then got in the mortgage business right at the height of the subprime mortgage market for about 4 years. And that was when Paul Epstein reached out to me and introduced me to the Alliance. And this was my part-time job while I was still working a full-time job. Coolest part-time job I could ever have, because I had a lot of flexibility and I had a ton of coaching with you and with Paul, and just a lot of support. And then when the mortgage market collapsed in 2008, was able to transition from doing this part-time to doing it full-time, and then have just continued to do it the last 15 years.
Okay, there we go. Cool. So as your business has grown, we can talk more about growth and changes, but I want to talk about kind of as things have been growing and you've climbed up to this 250, now 300,000 a month volume. What was one of the frustrations that hit you here around this kind of time frame? I guess we were talking earlier, and what was about 3 or 4 months ago?
Yeah. So really, and I was looking at my numbers earlier, and I realized that in March, actually, it kind of started. The end of last year, I started, saying, hey, we're going to do $250,000 a month. We're going to hit JBM. We're going to do this. And I was talking to Jake and Bray about it, and Jara and James and Pamela and other leaders that we had. I'm like, hey guys, this is what we're going to do. And was seeing this increase in unique riders, increase in issue paid production, 200 plus, 240, jumped up in March to just under 350,000. I think it was 337, and was fired up, was super excited. But I was frustrated because what I realized is that I had reached a level of I could only do so much. and I was holding myself back by not having the right staff in my office with me, by not having the right teammates, by trying to make how does Andy say? He says trying to make chicken salad out of chicken poop, or chicken soup out of chicken poop, and it just doesn't work. So really trying to focus more on finding better quality staff to work with, and I've had a staff person pretty much since probably my second year doing this, and at different times doing different things. When I was just doing personal production, they were helping me on my keeping track of pending, because my ADD was a mess, and tracking the normal day-to-day stuff was just wasn't working. I wasn't effective that way. Then as we started to vamp out into recruiting, trying to hire better quality people. And if there's one thing that you and Noel and Andy have been on me for years, is don't ever be satisfied with the people that you have. Always try to hire someone better, and always try to, if you have that better person, that's the kind of person that you can give more to. You can push them more from a perspective of, like, if you have like, I'm thinking right now, Emily is here in the office right now, and I'm thinking, she's she and Leighton, who are currently here in the office with me, they are currently some of the best two people that we've hired so far. And I know that their capacity, the more I give them and the more I release control, the more we're going to be able to do. I'm kind of a control freak, so I've held on to stuff for too long. And you've talked to me about that. Like, dude, you got to be able to let go of this stuff. Like, and even if you have a part-time person, even if you have someone only working for you 2 or 3 hours a week, like, be willing to let go of the things that are not, that somebody else can do.
So real quick. So I think let's talk about the impact to your business. So as we looked at your business, let's go 3 or 4 months ago.
Yep.
And even though you had the volume at, say, 300,000, you hadn't qualified for JBM yet. Why is that?
Nope. Because I didn't have enough width.
Why didn't you have enough width?
Because I wasn't recruiting at the level that I could, and I didn't have the capacity to support the width that we were bringing on. So it's because you can put a bunch of work in, and it wasn't that I wasn't working. I mean, I was recruiting, I was doing everything. We were recruiting and doing cold market and trying to drive depth and do all this stuff and personally producing. And, when you're trying to do everything, you're, what does the Bible say? Someone who is, when you have a fractured mind, you're weak in all areas. So I'll have to ask Marcus about that scripture, but it's essentially I was trying to do everything by myself, and we went 330, and then we dropped under 200,000. And then we, came up under 250 and then dropped under 200,000 again, and did that, and I was angry. I'll just tell you, I was angry. I was frustrated. I was angry because, I'm grateful for the coaching that you and Noel have given me over the years, and Andy, because it's always been, hey man, you're pushing me to do more, to add more. And there were times that I listened, and there was a lot of times I didn't, or I listened to part of it. And I just, and like, you guys have had my back in all things, in my personal life, in my business life. Andy and Jane have had my back like this whole time. So if anyone's wondering, why is my coach asking me to do more? Why is Andy pushing me like this? Truthfully, it's because they believe in you, and they believe that you can do more. And it's been one of those hard lessons for me to get my ego out of the way, and to realize that every time you guys are pushing me, that it's because I need to get the hell out of the way and just trust that you guys have my best interest. Because if I can move the needle a little bit more, it's going to prove that the system works that much better. It's going to be able to get someone to be able to move faster. I was listening to Mike and Gary yesterday, and I totally believe what Mike said when he said, hey, in 5 years from now, there's going to be people that literally go from 0 to $1 million a month within a year. And I'm like, wow, that is amazing. But it's like, I know I need to change my mindset to be able to get us as a team to where we're doing $1 million a month. The reason we aren't doing $1 million a month right now, I'll take complete responsibility for it. And I'll use the word fault. It's my fault. It's my fault. The reason that Jake and Bray aren't at $500,000 a month right now, it's my fault. The reason that James and Pamela aren't at $100,000 a month, it's my fault. But the cool thing is that when I realize that and I take responsibility, I can now do something to change it. When I'm focused on regret and I'm focused and I don't know about y'all, but I am really good at like self-judgment. So if I focus on being judgmental of myself or the regret of something, I can't move forward. Every time, like looking at I thank you, Robbie, for coming up with this sales chart, because I can now look at this and I can see where we peaked in recruiting and we peaked in sales and then we dropped down again. I'm like, there's a lesson to be learned there. And that's where I know you and Noel and I talk multiple times a week. We have scheduled times to talk. We go through what's going on. We talk about it. You ask me a lot what I want to change. Hey, what's positive? What's working? What's not working? And if the more that I can acknowledge what is working and talk about what's not working, we've been able to move the ball. So I'm really excited about being able to see.
A couple things just to kind of qualify or quantify what's happened as you got serious about making the change here. So talk about maybe the effectiveness of staff and even how that's translated into new width legs that you've got that are producing, that you found and have got up to speed over the last, whatever it's been, 2 months or 10 weeks, whatever that is.
Yeah, well, we brought Leighton on, got her, helping on the sales side, meaning she started helping me book my current clients because, when you run business, we got leads and we got current clients. So she started helping me on current clients, started learning how to do leads. Crazy thing is that then we hired her, as she calls him, her hostage, her partner, Chase. So we brought Chase on board and he's getting started. Here about 60 days ago, we brought Emily on, and guys, it's one thing I would say is I knew what I was looking for. And when we found Emily, she was an ASU grad. She had skied on the U.S. ski team. She had played collegiate soccer. She is a very intelligent person and has a hunger for moving fast and has a hunger to help the team grow. Like she has been over backwards. She and Leighton both, show up early, stay late. We had a boot camp here a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and they threw their heart and soul into it. We had 24 people here in the office. It was awesome, but I didn't have that before I brought these two gals on. So now we've been able to increase the amount so both of them are recruiting, at least 4 days a week. Both of them have helped us move. We have 4 new legs that have produced. I think last month we had 10 issue paid legs. We had 31 unique riders that issued over $1,000 in premium, anywhere from $1,000 to $28,000 in premium for the month. Have new agents that in their first 60 days have went from writing $600 a month to $1,500 a month to $9,000 a month. That's Brent Holt. Then had another new agent, Jen Talbot, taking some of my old leads and in reinvesting. Both these gals have GMRs. They're recruiting, and $1,500, $2,500, $27,000. So it's in a month. So it's being able to get the help, and then the girls here in the office are helping support these new agents as well wherever they can, and they're getting people through class and then handing them back to me. And so we're still learning this dance, because there is a dance. There's a dance between, what Mark says, work with people who deserve your time, not the ones that want your time. Truthfully, I've tried to triage a ton of people over the years where I spend too much time with, I'll say the wrong people. It's just that people who are not productive. And they don't want to really work. They just want to talk about working. And I'm, busy patting them on the head and rubbing their back and rubbing their tummy and telling them that they're a winner and we're going to do this, and not watching what they're doing. And now we're paying attention to this on a daily basis, having, every day our staff meet and we're talking about who's moving and how we can help them move faster if they want to move. And if they don't want to move, hey, cool.
Yeah. Okay.
It's cool.
All right. Well, dude, I love that you took ownership, started to make change, knew what you were looking for, and got new staff rolling, seeing the impact it's having on your WIT, and know you're going to get to JBM and SBM, and again, take it to $1 million. You're probably going to need some more staff along the way to get there, but good job. Way to take ownership of the problem. I think if anything you've seen here, everybody that's done something has owned the problem as opposed to just playing a victim to it. They've communicated, they've put in work, they realized they maybe had to do more than what they were doing to get through the problem. So if you can take that as you're looking at your business when you have that problem, own it, don't be a victim, communicate, realize you're going to have to put in some more work. You'll come through the other side. Hope you guys find this helpful. If you do, reach out to these guys at Breakthrough. It's not too late to fight to get one more person to see the value of Breakthrough, like Chauncey did, like Mike Garrett has, like others have, that have leveraged an event to catapult themselves forward. That'll help you with your business. Guys, take care. Thank you. We'll see you out there. Bye.
Recording stopped.